as committee case number 3, entitled Representative Ronaldo V. Puno et al. Versus Representative Francisco Kiko A. Barzaga of the 4th District of Cavite for violation of Section 141A, Rule 20 of the Rules of House of Representatives on the Code of Conduct, Section 4C of Republic Act 6713 or the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for Public Officials and Employees, Article 142 of the Revised Penal Code, and conduct prejudicial to the best interest of the service. It likewise determined the sufficiency in form and content of the sworn complaint. Hence, pursuant to Section 2E, Rule 1 of the Rules of Procedure of the committee has considered the sworn complaint, and the committee has the honor to inform the House of its findings and recommendations. Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Ethics and Privileges Secretariat received on September 17, 2025, a verified complaint dated September 16, 2025 against Representative Francisco Kiko A. Barzaga of the 4th District of Cavite for alleged violation of Section 141A of the Rules of the House, Republic Act 6713, otherwise known as the Code of Conduct, Section 142 of the Revised Penal Code, and conduct prejudicial to the best interest of the service. The complaint has 25 pages, including the verification and a certification of non-forum shopping. While the Constitution is not explicit as to what constitutes disorderly behavior, jurisprudence dictates that the same is left at the sound discretion of the legislative body. In the case of Osmeña versus Pendatum, the High Court ruled that while parliamentary immunity guarantees the legislator complete freedom of expression without fear of being made responsible in criminal or civil actions before the courts or any other forum outside the congressional hall, however, it does not protect him from responsibility before the legislative body itself whenever his words and conduct are considered by the latter disorderly or unbecoming a member thereof. Respondent violated Section 141A, Rule 20, Code of Conduct of the Rules of the House of Representatives. Mr. Speaker, complainants alleged that respondents' act of posting disparaging content against the government and its institutions in a public sphere brings disrepute not only upon the respondent himself, but also to the entire institution. Complainants alleged the offensive posts constitute public misconduct, not private speech, because these were made through his official social media Facebook pages, and that the subject posts drag the House in disrepute, tarnish the institution's reputation, and undermine public trust. His continued publication of lewd and inflammatory content under the social media Facebook account Congressman Kiko Barzaga is a continuing ethical breach. Respondent, on the other hand, Mr. Speaker, alleged that Section 141 Rule 20 of the House Rules provides a general ethical guideline. The committee finds the respondent to have breached the standards of propriety, professionalism, and decency when he permitted to retain posts showing lewd content, degrading views towards women, and ostentatious display of wealth in his Facebook page. Specifically, the committee finds respondent to have violated the tenets of justice, sincerity, good morals, and good customs enunciated in Section 4C of Republic Act 6713 by posting the following in his social media accounts: Exhibit A7, A8, A10, A12, A13, A15, A16 to 24. We agree with complainants that these are not conduct expected of a legislator. In addition, the committee finds respondents' act of retaining inappropriate posts, which admittedly were posted prior to assumption of his office in Congress, evinces deliberate and willful disregard of the institution's high standards and decorum and professionalism. As a legislator, he accepted the standards of conduct when he took an oath of his office as a member of the House of Representatives. The respondent cannot invoke his right to privacy as the social media posts are made public and are publicly accessible. These were made shareable and had been in fact shared multiple times. Following the principle in Vivarius and Spouses Suzara versus St. Teresa's College et al., the respondent does not have reasonable expectation of privacy for subject social media posts because he has not manifested his intention to keep the post private or limited in visibility through the utilization of social media platforms' privacy tools. The fact that the subject social media posts were viewable by the public at the time the complaint was filed with the committee shows respondents' intent not to limit the subject social media post visibility and accessibility. Hence, respondent Barzaga cannot invoke his right to informational privacy. In communicating and socializing through social media, legislators, particularly House members, must bear in mind that what they communicate, regardless of whether it is a personal matter or part of his or her legislative duties, creates and contributes to the people's opinion, not just of the House member but of the entire House of Representatives, of which he or she is a part. This is especially true when the posts of a House member are viewable not only by his or her family and close acquaintances, but also of the general public. In determining whether the social media posts by Representative Barzaga constitute disorderly behavior, this committee had to look whether these social media posts reflect positively on the image of the House of Representatives and its members. The statements reflect the dignity of his office as a representative of the people and his constituencies in Cavite, and the statements and social media posts reflect the values of the House of Representatives as an institution. The committee likewise took note of the statement of the Philippine Commission on Women condemning the scandalous behavior of the respondent and his disrespect of women's dignity. Ultimately, Mr. Speaker, based on these standards of conduct, the committee finds the social media posts in Facebook to be appropriated and unbefitting of a House member. Respondent's reckless, offensive, and irresponsible use of his social media platform tarnishes the name, integrity, and reputation of the House of Representatives. His deliberate choice to retain certain lewd, unprofessional, and inappropriate photos clearly shows bad faith. Respondent's conduct simply does not reflect the kind of principles and ideals the public expects of a public official, particularly a member of the House of Representatives. Mr. Speaker, after a thorough deliberation on the case, the committee finds that the actions of Rep. Barzaga in posting incendiary social media content through his Facebook accounts and in retaining and failing to remove publicly viewable, inappropriate, and indecent photos to be unparliamentary and unbecoming of a House member, taken in their entirety, the actions of Rep. Barzaga bring contempt, discredit, and disrepute to the name of the House of Representatives. His actions reflected negatively upon the dignity, integrity, and reputation of the House of Representatives as an institution of the members of the House individually and collectively. Consequently, the committee finds Respondent Representative Kiko Barzaga of the 4th District of Cavite guilty of disorderly behavior by violating Section 141A, Rule 20 of the Rules of House of Representatives, 4C of RA 6713, or the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for Public Officials and Employees, and by engaging conduct unbecoming of a member of the House, and recommends the imposition of the penalty of 60 days suspension from office without the benefit of salaries and allowances during the period of suspension, with a stern warning that repetition of similar misconduct will result to a more severe disciplinary action. In addition, Mr. Speaker, the committee recommends that the respondent Barzaga be directed to remove all 24 social media posts subject of this case within 24 hours from adoption of this report in the plenary. Mr. Speaker, let this be a reminder to all the members of the House of Representatives that as trustees of the people, we are expected to conduct ourselves in a manner that would reflect the dignity of our position in society and in public service. Let us be more circumspect in our acts and words and be mindful of the high standards of propriety required of us as legislators. Maraming salamat, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I now move to adopt the findings and recommendations contained in Committee Report Number 28 and pursuant to our rules, directed the Secretary General to read the title of the said measure and thereafter call the roll of members for nominal voting.
Mr. Speaker.
Majority.
Mr. Speaker, may we recognize the Honorable Toby Chanco.
Honorable Toby Chanco is hereby recognized.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, but before I speak, I think the Honorable Barzaga is standing up. So if he will have any manifestations, I will yield the floor to him.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, may we recognize Honorable Kiko Barzaga.
Honorable Kiko Barzaga is hereby recognized.
Okay, testing. Good. I wholeheartedly accept the decision of the committee, but I maintain my stance that President Marcos must be held accountable for his crimes. Too many people have died and too much money was plundered from the Filipino people for us to stand down now. Whatever punishment may fall upon me and others who stand against this president who has lost his constitutional mandate of serving the
Mr.
people is
Speaker,
inconsequential
point of
in
order.
relation to the amounts of lives
Mr. Speaker,
and
point of
futures
order.
that will be saved when
Majority
President
Leader.
Marcos leaves Malacanang. It took the deaths and imprisonment
Majority
Point of order,
Leader.
Mr. Speaker.
thousands to bring Marcos Sr. to
Point of
justice.
order, Mr. Speaker.
My punishment is only the beginning of our fight against the...
Mr. Speaker, may we recognize Chairman Abalos for the point of order.
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Honorable JC Barzaga is JC
Mr.
Abalos is hereby recognized.
Mr. Speaker, may I be recognized? The respondent has already spoken. He has said that he has accepted the imposed penalty under the committee report. Therefore, I reiterate the motion to consider the adoption of the committee report and call the roll of members for nominal voting.
Mr. Speaker, I just yielded to the Honorable Barzaga. The floor is mine.
But Mr. Speaker, I have a point of order.
Majority Leader.
Okay.
What's the point of order, Mr. Speaker? May I know from the chairman?
Mr. Speaker, as sponsor of this resolution, I have not yet yielded my time to the respondent.
Majority Leader.
If the chairman so wishes, he has his time, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Honorable JC Abalos is hereby recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to point out that as sponsor of this resolution, it is my time regarding this measure that we are deliberating right now. I would also like to put on record, Mr. Speaker, that the respondent has been given an opportunity to explain his defense at the proper forum, and we have accorded him that, Mr. Speaker. That is all, Mr. Speaker. Maraming salamat po.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, there is a pending motion to consider
Mr. Speaker,
committee
may I ask
report.
if the sponsor is willing to yield to a few questions?
Mr. Speaker, may I
Mr. S-
request suspension for a few minutes?
1 minute suspension. Honorable Leandro Leviste is hereby recognized.
Distinguished colleagues, ang boto ko ay no, hindi dahil perpekto si Congressman Barzaga, pero dahil questionable para sa akin na minadali natin itong desisyon dahil ngayong hapon lang natin nakuha ang committee report na ito at si Congressman Barzaga lang ang sinampahan ng kaso ng Committee on Ethics. Ang boto ko ay no, lalo na dahil inuuna natin ang kaso niya kaysa sa mga mas seryosong isyong kinakaharap ng isa sa mga kasamahan natin. Isang kapwa kong Batanggenyo na nandito ngayon na bumoto sa kaso ni Congressman Barzaga. Hindi ba nakakahiya maging miyembro ng Kongreso dahil parang naging normal na meron tayong isang kasamahan na inakusahan na nagbayad para sa mahigit 100 billion pesos ng mga kontrata sa DPWH? Para bang tinatanggap natin na normal lang magkaroon ng kasamahan na iniugnay sa pagnanakaw ng bilyong-bilyong piso na hindi iniimbestigahan na ng Committee on Ethics, Public Works o Infracom, samantalang inuunan natin ang kaso ni Congressman Barzaga, habang hindi man lang natin pinaglalaanan ng masusing atensyon ang mas mabigat na aligasyon, lumalabas na parang okay lang magnakaw sa Kongreso. Nakatala na sa kasaysayan na sa gitna ng matinding kontrobersiya sa korupsyon, ito ang inuna ng Kongreso at parang lang walang mali sa ginagawa ng isa sa ating kasamahan at tayo mismo ay ngayon sumisira sa imahe ng Kongreso. Mahiya naman tayo.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to recognize the Honorable Marcoleta for his explanation of his vote.
Honorable Marcoleta is hereby recognized.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, isang mapagpalayang hapon po sa ating lahat. I rise to place on record this manifestation of support for Honorable Francisco Kiko Barzaga and to express my strong opposition to any move seeking his suspension from this august chamber. From Voltaire's philosophy of tolerance and freedom of expression, this line is often quoted, "I may not agree with what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it." The independence of the legislature ensures that members may speak fully, frankly, and fearlessly on matters of public interest. Honorable Barzaga's statements directed at alleged corruption within the government falls within the fullest and most urgent category of political expression. To penalize him for raising concerns on corruption which the Constitution itself mandates Congress to check, is to subvert the very principle of parliamentary privilege. Mr. Speaker, 2004 pa lang po, andito na po ako bilang Chief of Staff po ng aking ama. Nakita ko po ang mga oposisyon na grabe magtuligsa sa administrasyon. Nandyan po ang mga magigiting na miyembro ng Makabayan Bloc na sila sa Turo Campo, Lisa Masa, Joel Berador, na talagang magigiting na mga figura ng oposisyon. Pero hindi naman po sila naharap sa mga ethics case, gano'n man sila kaanghang magsilita laban sa administrasyon. My dear colleagues, Honorable Barzaga is seated in this chamber because the people of Dasmariñas City, Cavite, placed their trust in him as affirmed through the ballot. Article 6, Section 6 of the Constitution states that members of this House derive their authority exclusively from the electorate. Ano po ba ang mas mabigat na kasalanan? Ang magmiyaw o ang magnakaw? Ano ba ang mas mabigat na kasalanan? Ang mag-video at mag-selfie at mag-post ng pagkadismaya sa gobyerno ang isang batang congressman? O ang ginawang sistematikong pagnanakaw sa gobyerno? O at pagsimot sa bilyon-bilyong piso sa kaban ng bayan sa pamamagitan ng mga ghost projects? Ang mga posts ni Kong Miao ay mistulang alingaw-ngaw lamang ng saloobin ng nakararaming mga Pilipino. To impose the penalty of suspension is to overturn the sovereign choice of the people. That remedy is reserved only for conduct so reprehensible and destructive of the institution that it overwhelms democratic legitimacy. No such circumstance exists here. Honorable Barzaga's only act was to express his views regarding corruption in government, a matter of public concern central to democratic oversight. Let not the House of Representatives be weaponized against its own members. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we'd like to recognize the Honorable Congressman Nazal to give his explanation of his vote.
Honorable San Fernando is hereby recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If we don't believe in freedom of expression for people we despise, we don't believe in it at all. This quote serves as the foundation of this representation's vote. Totoo na maraming nasabi, pinahayag, at ginawa ang kinatawang si Representative Barzaga na hindi aakma sa pamantayang inaasahan sa isang halal na opisyal. But this begs us to question, what really is unethical behavior? While I agree that us lawmakers are held to a higher degree of ethics and decorum, such should not work as to stifle free speech and debate. Lawmakers must be free to say what we want, especially on issues involving national importance. Representative Barzaga's actions and words may not fit the usual mold of a traditional lawmaker. But who decides if the mold or what mold is correct? I understand these are difficult questions to answer, and I am unsure if there is any. But one thing I am sure of is that plundering the coffers of government through ghost infrastructure projects is what's unethical. The committee resolution sets a dangerous precedent. Ganito ho ba tayo kabalat sibuyas at allergic sa mga naiibang pananaw? Should our subjective judgments of Representative Barzaga's ethics supplant the will of the electorate? Hayaan natin ang mamamayan ng Dasmariñas ang humatol sa mga ginagawa ni Representative Barzaga. Kung saba ay karapat dapat na maging kinatawan nila. My dear colleagues, let us not erode whatever little trust that the public has left for this House. At a time where allegations of massive corruption has been plaguing our beloved institution, it is callousness to sanction one of its most vocal critics, however eccentric, uncouth or unpalatable his mode of delivery may be. Hindi po sa pamamagitan ng aksyong ginawa natin kay Representative Barzaga, mababawi ang kredibilidad ng ating institusyon. What we need is to bring the public's trust back in this House, and this representation firmly believe that this move will not help us to move in that direction. Yun lang ho, Mr. Speaker, marami hong salamat.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize the Honorable Bong Suntay.
Honorable Bong Suntay is hereby recognized.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, ang boto ko ay nakaugat sa malinaw at tahasang proteksyon na ibinigay ng konstitusyon. Proteksyon na hindi natin maaaring baliwalain dahil lamang hindi natin nagustuhan ang pananalita ng isang kasapi. Ang boto ko ay nakaangkla sa pinakamamahal na kalayaan na pundasyon ng ating saligang batas. Nakaukit sa Article 3, Section 4, under freedom of speech, na nagsasaad na no law shall be passed abridging the freedom of speech, of expression, and of the press. Ito ang pundasyon ng lahat ng demokratikong lipunan. Its shield is broad and its protection is deep. It extends even to speech that is sharp, incendiary, or inflammatory. Constitutional protection is not limited to speech that is polite, convenient, or comfortable. This freedom is not ornamental. It is the lifeblood of a democratic discourse. The very air that allows truth to move, compete, and ultimately prevail in the marketplace of ideas. In every Congress, in every era, disagreements, mabigat man o masakit, ay mangyayari. But our duty is not to silence discomfort. Our duty is to allow debate to permit critique and to safeguard the right of each member to speak without fear that dissent itself becomes punishable. Totoo, the circumstances and expressions involved fall short of decorum expected in this House. Hindi natin kinukonsinti ang pamamaraan o pagkasabi. Hindi natin tinatanggal ang bigat ng responsibilidad sa pagpili ng salita. Ngunit, falling short of decorum does not remove constitutional protection. The speech may be harsh. It may offend sensibilities. It may jar our sense of propriety. But as long as it remains within the realm of expression guarded by the Constitution, this chamber cannot treat protected speech as punishable misconduct. Democracy does not mature through silence or suppression. It goes through robust exchange, matinding banggaan ng pananaw, o mga malalamang diskurso ng pag-iisip kung saan ang katotohanan ay siyang huling magtatagumpay. I cast a no vote because imposing sanction here creates a chilling effect. Not only on the member involved, but on all who depend on this chamber as a forum for candor, for courage, and confrontation when needed. Hindi ito ang panahon para paliitin ang espasyo ng pagsasalita. Ito ang panahon para palawakin, palakasin, at pangalagaan ito. Freedom of speech is not defended only when it is easy. It must be defended precisely when it is difficult, when the speech is unwelcome, unpopular, or uncomfortable. That is the true test of our commitment to constitutional principles. Thus, with earnest respect for this institution and with fidelity to the Constitution, I vote no. To uphold our most cherished freedom, to preserve the vibrancy of democratic debate, and to affirm the truth. The truth emerges only when ideas are allowed to contend openly and without fear. Maraming salamat po.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize the Honorable Robert Nazal for his explanation.
Honorable Robert Nazal is hereby recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my esteemed colleagues. While I acknowledge the profound importance of maintaining and enforcing the ethical standards of this House, my vote of no reflects two deeply held convictions. First, Although the respondent's conduct was inappropriate, crass, and unbecoming of a member of Congress, I respectfully submit that the proposed 60-day suspension is grossly disproportionate to the offenses alleged. If he has indeed acted beneath the dignity of his office, then by all means, reprimand him, hold him to account. But discipline must always be commensurate to the transgression, and in this case, I believe this august chamber is responding with excessive severity. A reprimand being the initial and least severe action should have been the proper first recourse, especially where the conduct, while objectionable, does not involve corruption, criminality, abuse of authority, or behavior so grave as to render a member unfit for office. Second, voting no does not mean condoning his acts. It is instead a principled affirmation that fairness and due process are indispensable. The resolution before us does not specify the precise acts for which Representative Barzaga is to be sanctioned. Without such clarity, how can he meaningfully defend himself before the entire House? The most basic tenets of due process require that any member must be informed of the specific statements or posts deemed punishable before the harshest penalty, short of expulsion, is imposed. If this House demands accountability, then we must likewise ensure fairness. Otherwise, we undermine the very integrity we claim to protect. Finally, this vote is also my gentle appeal to this chamber to recenter its energy on the people's mandate. At a time when Filipino families struggle with daily concerns such as rising prices, job insecurity, health burdens, educational gaps, our primary duty is to ensure that their material well-being remains the central business of the People's House. Let us not lose sight of the urgent fundamental issues that affect every household we swore to serve. A reprimand would have been a balanced, measured response, one that upholds institutional integrity without diverting the House's focus from the needs of our people. For these reasons, I register my view that a reprimand, not suspension, would have been the appropriate, proportionate, and constitutionally sound response under the circumstances. Thank you.